Hi, my name is Jessica Rosenstraw. This is case study for EDL 854, the budget debacle. So let's get started and see what this case study is about. So what is going on right now? So in this case study, we were presented Mr. Bailey, the new foundation president for Briardale Elementary Foundation, came up with an idea to fundraise for the school by having a raffle for cash event. He wanted it to be the biggest moneymaker yet, and was kind of in competition with another counterpart in a different elementary school, Manny went to school with. So he presented his strategy to the foundation. The foundation approved of it, and moved forward with the raffle. It was held at Briardale Elementary, and the evening that the raffle was held, Mr. Bailey was arrested and then later that week charged with a misdemeanor. The funds that were supposed to be raised were to go for the supplementary curriculum for the Briardale Elementary School. So now, because of all of this, it made the news, and the Briardale Elementary School has been, kind of tainted. The foundation, the fundraising, everything's kind of up in the air. So let's look at what we know. So first, before we go into who, what, and where, let's talk about the legal and ethical issues that this situation presents. So in 46 states, as well as the District of Columbia, there are laws about raffling, governing raffling sales. And normally you're required to file an application with the state. Now, since it didn't tell us what state it was, but since he was arrested, we're going to go ahead and see that I'm going on the premises that obviously he was in, this case occurred in one of those 46 states. And so he was arrested because he did not follow proper procedures and laws with the raffle sales. Also looking, there was no discussion about the local laws regarding the raffle for cash event. So again, his arrest makes you think that he obviously broke some laws with that. Ethical issues. So, no physical harm was done to anyone. And ethically, it's just that he did not review the policies. He didn't consult with legal teams. He didn't meet with Mr. Santos. The foundation, approved it, but he didn't follow the correct procedures and talk to the appropriate people to make sure he wasn't breaking any laws. So he let his pride and his drive kind of get to him. So ethical kind of issues there. So what exactly is going on? So what's our problem? So Mr. Bailey, the Briardale Foundation president, was charged with a misdemeanor after organizing a raffle for cash fundraiser for the school of Briardale, putting the school principal and the foundation in an inedible situation as those funds were allotted for the supplementary curriculum. So let's delve a little bit into what we know and what we don't know. So who are we talking about here? So the people in this study are Mr. Santos, who I'm going to be today, the principal of Briardale Elementary. You have Mr. Bailey, the new president of the Briardale Foundation, who came up with the strategy to raise the most money by holding a raffle for cash fundraiser. You have the Briardale Foundation, formed at Briardale Elementary, chaired by a president representative, aka Mr. Bailey. You have the parents, who are very supportive of the supplementary programs. You also have the school curriculum committee, who's led by a lead teacher within the building and decides on the supplementary programs at the school. So you could also bring in the community and the students, but that's kind of, to me, a given on those. The place. So let's talk about Briardale Elementary to begin with. So Briardale is composed of 600 students, K through 5, at a public school. It's one out of 6 elementary schools in the district. It is located in the center of town, so it's often used for the town's community meetings and various activities within the community. The district overall is a diverse community, having 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and a high school. There's few resignations and low teacher turnover. Most teachers that begin their career there stay in this district. So it's a pretty secure place. Looking at the program, so the district provides basic funds to each of the schools, and it's to be used only on the basic skills curriculum. They base their curriculum on the student performance, and this supports the basic skills instruction. Any supplementary curriculum, such as art, music, or foreign language, is funded through the foundation at each school through the supplementary program. What we don't know. So here are some things that we don't know. So who makes up the foundation in each school? Is it a community and parents? Is there any staff involved? Are any of the administrators in the schools involved? So who exactly makes up the foundation? What are their policies and procedures, as well as who governs those? Who looks at those policies and procedures and updates them as needed? You also have who's the school site curriculum committee, who's on it? I know they said a lead teacher leads it, but who else? Is it made up of community members, parents, and staff? Or is it just staff members? And then what role do they play in both the basic skills curriculum and the supplementary curriculum? Then you need to look at what's the district policies that are in place for funding, especially raffles. There was no mention of those. So again, what's the school board policies? What are the state and local laws regarding raffle for cash fundraisers? I'm assuming since he was arrested, there is a law in place that he did not follow. Do the schools fundraise any other way, or is it strictly through the foundation? And how many times a year do they hold different fundraisers? So those are some of the things we don't know moving forward and looking at what we've got going on. So let's prioritize the information before we start talking options. So due to Mr. Barely not following the laws, the school is potentially losing out on money for their supplementary programs, which relates directly to the students' well-being and student success. Due to his public arrest, the community may now have a tainted image of Briardale Elementary as well as the district, and may be reluctant to support any future fundraisers. You also have myself as the superintendent. I need to be in close contact with the superintendent, the district legal team, to ensure that my staff and myself are protected in this. And moving forward, thinking about the options, can I make a decision and can I talk about my options? So I really thought this was kind of a tough decision. There's so many unknowns in this situation. I'd really like to know how much money we already have in the bank for these supplementary curriculum. Is this these funds that we were raising, is that for this school year, or is it for the future year, in the next year or in the future? Can we attempt to raise more funds, or was it the one and done and nothing else? So that's, can we raise more money? What were these funds being used for? I know it's the supplementary curriculum, but was it for this school year or the next year? And then how much money do we already have? Were kind of some questions that were in my mind as I was trying to come up with options. So I did come up with some options. So the first one is, I went ahead and said no action. You're going to use the current budget and not address the mishap. So you're going to use whatever funds we have, whatever money is in the supplementary funds account, and try to move forward. Then another option is kind of on the opposite spectrum. You have sever ties with the foundation, and then Mr. Santos, would take over handling all the fundraising events in the future. And then the third option I came up with was to first apologize to the community, kind of address the mishap, and then go about creating a committee to review and revise the policies that are in place, and if possible, fundraise other events in the future to raise those funds that we need. So those are the three options I have. Now let's delve a little bit further into each one and talk about the pros and cons. So the first one, to do nothing. So I don't know if you call it a pro or not. I put it on the kind of the pro side because not publicly bringing up the incident. You're not rocking the boat anymore. You're not pointing it out. You're just kind of ignoring it and going on. You're going to continue working on the budget that you've been given and allow the foundation to continue working as is. Again, this is not upsetting anyone else. So you're not rocking the boat with the foundation. You're not doing anything more to kind of stir the pot, if you will. The cons on this is the students are going to be missing out on supplementary programs. So whether it is the current school year or in the future, due to this debacle, we now have lost significant funds. So it's going to affect our students' academic success and their development. So in this case, this option, they're going to lose out on that. So option 2, looking at this. So this is where we would sever ties with the foundation, and I would take over handling the fundraising events. So the pros is, as the principal, I should know what the laws are, the legalities dealing with fundraising. I have a direct link to the district legal team as well as the school board policies on this. So I would have a little more understanding and know about what's going on. I also, as the administrator, know exactly what my students need and my building needs, including my staff. And so looking at that, then I can decide what programs are essential for the success of my students and my staff. So those are some pros with doing this. The cons are it's more responsibility and time consuming as an administrator. And as we all know, we have our plates full oftentimes. So this is one added stress. It's also putting just one person in charge. So instead of having a committee, you're in charge and you're not segregating the duties. It's also isolating your community and parents. So instead of working to create a collaborative working environment, you're isolating that. So those are the cons that I came up with this option. And then looking at option 3, you'd first apologize to the community, and create a committee to review and revise the policies in place and develop a plan to raise the needed funds. So on this, the pros are you're acknowledging the mistake, attempting to rectify the situation, trying to build relationships again with your community and with your parents. Creating a committee would be, a collaborative initiative that you're going to take on to include community members, parents, staff, myself, to revise the fundraising policies and plan to raise money. Again, this is going toward trying to build that trust up and collaborating together. The cons are it's an embarrassing topic to discuss, a situation to discuss. And the community and parents may still be upset and refuse to support the school. So those are the cons on that. So what did I decide to come up with? So in this case, I decided to choose option 3. I really feel that it's important to acknowledge mistakes and make steps moving forward to avoid future issues. Again, trying to build that trust back up with your community. Working with the legal and legal at district as well as the superintendent to ensure that we are following the district policies as well as local and state laws. We're focusing on the student and adult success and well-being in this case. Revise and revamp the foundation's policies and procedures. Again, creating, a committee to ensure that all parties are represented. You're wanting to pull in the community, parents, staff, administrator, again, working on that trust and building a cohesive group to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. Brainstorm and plan fundraising events to provide the necessary funds for the supplementary curriculum. And finally, ensure that all are trained in the policies and laws regarding fundraising. So how am I going to implement this? So to begin with, I need to meet with the legal team and the superintendent to address any legalities that we as a school may be facing in the district over this debacle. I'd also need to create an apology letter, and I would probably want the help of the superintendent and the legal team to make sure that I'm not talking out of turn on this. I'd also need to meet with the financial to find out where our budget currently is and what we still need to be able to function for this current year as well as in the future. The second thing I would do is to hold meetings with the foundation as well as my staff. I would need to detail the situation and what the future plans are. So how are we going to, address this as a school and what we're going to do to rectify it so we're not losing those supplementary programs. The The third thing I will do is to create a committee to evaluate and revise the district and foundation policies on fundraising. So again, pulling in the community, the staff, and parents to work together to look at the foundation's policies on fundraising, look at the district's policies on fundraising, and come up with and revise as needed. I would also plan future fundraisers and acknowledge what the funds will be provided for so the public knows exactly what we're spending money on. I would also probably put in here when you are revising the policies and stuff, I would probably in these two cases or instances, I would put what fundraisers are legal. So here are the types of fundraisers we can do. So then the public knows, okay, they are definitely following the laws. And then finally, I would train and then every year after retrain anyone who deals with the fundraisers so this situation does not occur again. Things to consider with using this option. So I need to be in constant contact with the legal, financial, and the superintendent. I would also need to, since we're looking at the school board policies, if those need to be revamped, then that needs to be brought up at a school board meeting, whether that is myself that brings it up or I push it toward the superintendent, but someone definitely would need to bring it up to the school board that the policies need to be revised if necessary. It's important to keep in mind what our end goal is. And at the end of all of this, it is the academic success and well-being of the students of Briardale Elementary. And so when we look at this situation, we have to keep in mind that's what we're trying to do. We're trying what is best for our students in this school. And we also need to keep in mind that this is going to take some time. We have, the trust could have been easily broken within the community and with our parents on this fundraising debacle. And so we need to be patient as we rebuild that trust with them. And thinking outside the box is probably going to be necessary as we try to provide that supplementary curriculum that our students need. Thank you for your time. Here are my references.